Hey everyone, today we're going to be leveling Jewel Crafting in the Burning Crusade expansion. This is going to be a follow-along guide, so instead of just talking about Jewel Crafting for a couple of minutes, I'm actually going to be leveling from 1 to 375, but I've cut out the cast time so that it's significantly faster. I've also set up the YouTube timestamps, so you're going to be able to skip to where you're at. So say if you're level 200 Jewel Crafting already, you can skip to level 200 in the video and then follow along leveling from 200 to 375 without having to go through the beginning content again. So yeah, I hope this guide helps you get from 1 to 375 Jewel Crafting as quickly as possible. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is find an apprentice Jewel Crafter. So if you're Alliance, he's going to be in the Exodar, but if you're Horde, he's going to be in Silvermoon City. There's also one in Shatrath. So once you find your apprentice Jewel Crafter, you want to talk to him and learn Jewel Crafting. And then next we're going to learn Heavy Copper Ring. And the first thing we're going to do to get to level 20 is going to be just making delicate copper wire, which we're going to use to make other things later. So we're going to go ahead and run delicate copper wire until we get level 20. Okay, so once you've hit 20 Jewel Crafting, we can now start making rough stone statues. And we're going to make rough stone statues from 20 to 30. Okay, so now that we're level 30, we're going to learn Tigerseye Band from our trainer. I'm just going to go ahead and learn everything, but Tigerseye Band is what we're going to make from this point, and we're going to go from 30 to 50 on these, so you're going to need 20 Tigerseye, and you're also going to need 20 delicate copper wire. Alright, so now that we've got our delicate copper wire and our Tigerseye, we're going to go ahead and make these until we hit level 50. Oh, okay, apparently we need a Jewel Crafter kit. So we'll talk to the supplies trainer and grab a jeweler's kit. Okay, so now that we've got our jeweler's kit, we're going to go ahead and make the Tigerseye Band until we get level 50. Alright, so the next thing we're going to make are bronze settings. So let's go ahead and talk to our trainer, and we're going to learn to make bronze setting. I'm going to learn the rest of the stuff anyway. But, yeah, so bronze settings. So these cost 2 bronze bars each. So I'm going to go grab some bronze bars, and then we're going to run these from 50 to 75. Okay, so I've got some bronze bars now, and we're going to go ahead and start making these. Okay, so once you've hit 75, you're going to talk to your apprentice Jewel Crafter and learn what you can from him. But then you need to talk to a Jewel Crafter trainer and learn the next level of Jewel Crafting so you don't get capped out. Now we're going to use solid bronze ring to go from 75 to 80. Alright, so now that you're 80, we're going to start making elegant silver rings. The elegant silver rings are going to take us from 80 to 90, so we're going to make about 10 of these. So I'm going to go grab some silver bars, and then I'll get to making some elegant silver rings. Alright, so now let's make our elegant silver rings. It actually ended up taking me about 13 elegant silver rings before I actually got to 90. But yeah, at this point, we're going to move on to making Ring of Silver Mites. These Ring of Silver Mites cost 2 silver bars each now instead of 1, but they're going to take us all the way to level 110. Alright, so let's start making these to get to level 110. Alright, so now that we're 110, we're going to talk to our trainer again and learn to make heavy stone statues. We're going to use heavy stone statue to get from 110 to 120, so I'm just going to go ahead and make all of these. Okay, so once you hit 120, we're actually going to have to go buy a pattern. So we'll learn what our trainer will teach us now. We're actually going to have to go out and find the Pendant of the Agate Shield recipe. So it's sold by either this innkeeper or this Rao Cliffrunner guy in Thousand Needles or Neil Allen in Mithril Harbor, which we're going to head over to Neil Allen since we're Alliance on this character and grab that recipe. Okay, so once you get to Mithril Harbor, Neil is actually right inside this castle thing, right in the middle of Mithril Harbor. So you're going to walk in and then immediately turn to the left, and he will be on the left here. Alright, so we're going to flip through the stuff he has for sale, and there's the design. So we'll grab that, and now go ahead and learn the recipe. Okay, so I'm going to have to go pick up some Agate, and I'm going to head back to Exodar, and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so we're going to run this pendant recipe from 120 to 150. Alright, so now that we're 150, it's going to start to get a little more expensive. We're going to go ahead and learn Expert Jewel Crafting so we don't get capped out at 155. And now we're going to start making Mithril Filigrees. So these mithril filigrees require 2 mithril bars each, and they're going to run us from 150 to 180. So we're going to go ahead and make those now. Okay, I overshot it a little, and now I'm 181. So once you're 180, you can talk to your jewel crafting trainer and learn Engraved Truesilver Ring. And we're going to use Engraved Truesilver Ring to get to 200 from 180. I'm going to go grab some Truesilver bars real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we're ready to run from 180 to 200. Alright, well congratulations on hitting 200. That's definitely a big step in the right direction. We just have 175 more levels to go, and then we'll be there. So let's buckle down and get right into the next one, which is going to be the Citrine Ring of Healing. I'm going to go grab some more materials, and when I get back, we're going to use the Citrine Ring of Rapid Healing to go from 200 to 210. Okay, so once you hit 210, go ahead and talk to your trainer again, and now you can learn Artisan Jewel Crafting and Aquamarine Signets, which is what we're going to make next. Aquamarine Signets are going to take us from 210 to 225. So I'm going to go grab some flasks of Mojo and Aquamarine, and we'll get to making these Aquamarine Signets. So once you have your materials, you should be able to just make 15 Aquamarine Signets to get to 225. And now that we're 225, we can start making Thorium Settings. So talk to your trainer again and learn to make Thorium Settings. So this is going to require thorium bars, and this just kind of keeps getting more and more expensive from here. So yeah, these require 1 thorium bar each. Another thing you can do is you can make some dent stone statues at first, if you have some dent stone, if you went and gathered the thorium yourself. That'll save you a few levels, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab some thorium bars and use the thorium settings to go from 225 to 250. Alright, so now that we've got our thorium bars, we're going to go ahead and level to 250. Okay, so once you hit 250, you're going to want to make Red Ring of Destructions to go from 250 to 255. So the Red Ring of Destruction is going to require a star ruby. So we're going to go out and grab 5 star rubies, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we've got our 5 star rubies, we're going to go ahead and make these 5. Okay, so now that we're 255, we're going to make some Truesilver healing rings, and these rings are going to take us from 255 to 265. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some Truesilver bars in Heart of the Wilds, and then I'll be back to make the Truesilver healing rings. Okay, so now that I've got the materials, let's go ahead and hit level 265. Okay, so once you hit 265, we're actually going to learn to make simple opal rings, and we're going to use simple opal ring to get from 265 to 275. Okay, so once you're 275, you can talk to your trainer again and learn to make Sapphire Signets. Okay, so Sapphire Signets will take you from 275 to 285. So I'm going to go ahead and make 10 of these and get back to you when I'm 285. Okay, so once you're 285, you actually want to start making the diamond focus rings, which require Azeroth diamonds. So I'm going to go grab some Azerothian diamonds real quick. Okay, so we're going to make 5 of these diamond focus rings to get to 290. Okay, so once you're 290, you're going to talk to your trainer again and learn to make Emerald Lion rings. And Emerald Lion rings are actually going to take us from 290 to 300. I'm going to need some more huge emeralds, so I'm going to grab those real quick. Okay, so now that I've got my huge emeralds, I'm going to go ahead and level to 300. Okay, so we're finally 300. And this is definitely a really cool milestone because we're going to stop making jewelry as much, and now we're going to transition to cutting gems. And of course, if you're Alliance, you're going to go to Honor Hold, and if you're Horde, you're going to go to Thralmar. And there's going to be a Master Jewel Crafting Trainer there. So you want to talk to the Master Jewel Crafting Trainer and unlock your jewel crafting so that you don't get capped out at 305. And at this point, you're going to be able to learn some recipes. And at this point, it's actually all the same as far as which gems you cut. It's not very specific. You can go ahead and cut Teardrop blood garnets if you've got blood garnet. You could buy the inscribed flame spessarite if you've got some of those laying around, or if you've got deep paradots, then radiant deep paradots. But I'm just going to use Teardrop blood garnets, and this is going to take us from 300 to 305. So I'm going to go ahead and make 5 of these, but it actually requires a simple grinder. So I'm going to talk to my trainer again and buy a simple grinder. So once you're at 305, you want to talk to your trainer again and browse what she has for sale. And there's going to be bold blood garnet. So we want to go ahead and buy that and learn how to make bold blood garnets because they're orange instead of yellow. And we're going to make bold blood garnets from 305 to 310. So now that we're 310, we're actually going to go back to making some jewelry. There's a FelIron blood ring. I'm going to grab some FelIron bars, and we're going to use FelIron blood rings to go from 310 to 315. So we want to talk to our trainer again. We're actually going to learn Glinting Flame Spessarite, and that's going to take us from 315 to 320 and be orange along the way. So I'm going to grab some flame spessarites, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so once you've got your flame spessarites, we can make 5 of these to get to 320. And once we're 320, we're actually going to make a ring. So we're going to talk to our trainer again, and she's going to teach us to make an Azure Moonstone ring. So we're going to learn that, and this is going to require FelIron bars, Azure Moonstones, and some deep peridot. So I'm going to go gather these things, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to make 5 of these rings, so we can go from 320 to 325. Alright, so once you're 325, we're actually going to go back to cutting gems. I'm just going to go ahead and learn what my trainer will teach me. Okay, so at this point, we're going to talk to our trainer again, and we can buy any of these designs that have the other icon. So the smooth golden Draenite, for example, or sparkling azure moonstone, or rigid golden Draenite. Any of these will be orange. Then we just need to grab the corresponding gem, and this will take us from 325 to 335. Okay, so now we're going to level from 325 to 335, making smooth golden Draenites. So I'm just going to make these until I'm 335 and then report back. Okay, so now that we're 335, we are going to learn to make heavy adamantite rings. And the heavy adamantite ring is going to take us from 335 to 350. This ring is going to require mercurial adamantite, which you can either make or buy off the auction house. It'll require a mercurial stone as well, but you can make it with adamantite powder and primal earth. But yeah, I'm going to go grab some materials, and then I'll use the heavy adamantite ring to go from 335 to 350. Okay, so now that I've got the materials, I'm going to run to 350. Okay, so once you get to 350, this is actually a really cool point, because you can start cutting gems that you can actually use. Instead of just these silly green gems, you can start cutting things like living rubies and noble topazes, and you can sell these on the auction house, and you might be able to make a profit. So there's definitely a long list of things you can suddenly cut, and I would do the math on the auction house of what you can cut and make money on, or at least break even from this point, because this can get really expensive if you're just throwing these gems away. So personally, I'm going to be going for the runed living rubies. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to my trainer again and just learn the rest of the stuff that she'll teach me. And then we're going to need to get the recipe for whatever we're going to make. Okay, so you're probably going to be buying the recipe off the auction house, or maybe you'll get lucky and get it, but these recipes can be a pain in the butt to get. So I've got the recipe here for the runed living ruby, so I'm going to go ahead and learn that. Okay, so at this point you can make runed living rubies until you are 355. So I'm going to go ahead and make 5 of those. So from this point on, it's kind of just a weird struggle where you're battling with ease of use and efficiency. So you could technically make runed living rubies all the way to 375, but it's going to be very expensive. But if you're sitting here flipping these on the auction house, that may be the easiest way for you to get to 375. I'm going to go ahead and make these to 355, and as you can tell, they're still yellow, and they stay yellow for a long time. It doesn't actually turn green until 370, so you could definitely level to 375 off of just runed living rubies, or whichever blue gem that you want to cut, and you could just keep cutting blue gems all the way there. But as per the guides, they're saying that you should get the living ruby pendant or thick felsteel necklace recipes. These are world drop recipes, so you're going to have to buy them. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the living ruby pendant recipe and get some corium bars, mercurial adamantite, and living ruby, and go ahead and run to 360 off of that. Okay, so once you've got the recipe for the living ruby pendant, you want to go ahead and use that, and then you can use that to level from 355 to 360. Okay, so now that we're at 360, we can continue making living ruby pendants all the way to 375. They turn yellow at 370. Or you could create more runed living rubies. So personally, I would use runed living ruby from 360 to 370. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now that I'm 370, runed living ruby does turn green. So at this point, you could push through with more runed living rubies, or you could make living ruby pendants for the last 5 levels. It's yellow at this point, but there are a couple of rep options that you can do. You could get the Talosite Owl, which requires Shatara Revered rep. And I mean, by the time you make this, you're probably better off just making the Living Ruby pendants. Another option here that actually looks pretty good is this Dawnstone Crab, which requires Honor Hold Revered rep. The Golden Draenite would be really cheap, the Dawnstones would be pretty cheap, and the Corium Bars, I mean, you're comparing that to something that has 4 Corium Bars here as well. So if you don't have the rep, I would just make the Living Ruby pendants, but if you do get honored with Honor Hold, you can make these Dawnstone Crab figurines, and that would get you from 370 to 375, and these are going to be orange. So I'm just going to finish off with these Living Ruby pendants, because I don't think it's going to take me that many extra to make, and I already have the pattern to make it, and I'm not currently revered with Honor Hold. But if you want to go that route, that's also a very good route to go. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and create these until I'm 375. Alright, so finally I hit 375, and I did it with the Living Ruby pendants. Honestly, I only had to make about 7 of these to get the last 5 levels, so it really wasn't that bad. You could also just make Rune Living Rubies. They're green, so it's going to take a decent amount of them, but if Corium is really expensive, you may be better off just using Living Rubies to make these. So the last couple of levels can be done in a bunch of different ways. It really just depends on what's more efficient to you. So I hope this guide helped you get from 1 to 375. Jewel crafting is one of the most rewarding professions, in my opinion. Being able to cut gems for your friends and being able to cut gems for yourself is super handy. It's also helpful for the guild, of course. Later on, when Sunwell Plateau comes out, jewel crafting gets some other great benefits, but it's still just a really great skill to have, and it's one of my favorite skills to level. Obviously, if you're a miner, it can make mining more efficient because you can break down your ore. But yeah, I hope this helped you, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing, it would really help the channel out. But that's it for this guide, and I'll see you in the next one.